People like to say childhood shapes you gently, the way water shapes stone. But mine didn't feel gentle. It felt like being slowly carved into a smaller and smaller version of myself until the only parts left were the ones that didn't get in anyone else's way. The earliest memory I have of Lauren being the son of our family is from when I was 4. Mom had bought me a set of plastic building blocks, bright, colorful, the kind of toy that makes little kids feel like architects. I spent the whole afternoon building a crooked tower in the living room. I was so proud I called Mom in to see it. She smiled, told me it was cute, and told me to clean up before dinner. 5 minutes later, Lauren walked in holding a ribbon from her science fair. The tower I had spent hours on? Forgotten. Mom's voice went high and bright. "Oh, Lauren. You're amazing. I always knew you'd win." And suddenly the blocks I had just put away didn't matter at all. That night, Mom called 3 relatives to brag. No one asked what I had built. A pattern, though I didn't have words for it then. When I was 5, Dad took Lauren to a father-daughter dance at her school. She wore a white dress with blue flowers and twirled in front of the mirror like she was already the lead in her own life. Dad told me I could come watch them take pictures. I remember tugging the ends of my too big sweater, wanting to ask why I couldn't go too. But Dad said, "This is Lauren's night, sweetheart. Yours will come." But mine never did. The early school years. By the time I started elementary school, I understood that Lauren's needs always overrode mine. If she needed the car, Dad drove her. If she needed money for something, Mom found it. If she needed attention, the world stopped spinning until she felt better. When I brought home drawings or good grades, Mom would glance at them for 2 seconds, then set them on the counter, where they stayed until someone accidentally spilled something on them or used them as scrap paper. Lauren's report cards, meanwhile, were framed. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed once at age 7, holding a little certificate for Most Improved Reader. I waited all evening for Mom to notice. Finally, I brought it to her myself. She took it, smiled, and said, "Good job, honey." But just as I started feeling proud, the front door opened and Lauren walked in with a huge plastic-wrapped bouquet from her choir performance. Mom gasped like someone had delivered treasure. She rushed over, hugging Lauren, gushing about how proud she was. My certificate slipped off the counter that night. I found it half soaked in juice the next morning. Middle school, the silent years. By middle school, I was fully aware of my place in the hierarchy. Lauren. Mom. Dad. Then me. Not that anyone ever said it out loud. They didn't need to. The rules were carved into the rhythm of our home. If Lauren called needing something, Mom would drop everything. Even on nights I had school projects due, or exams, or needed help with homework. One time I waited for her to come home from running errands so she could quiz me for a history test. She came in 40 minutes late, carrying takeout for Lauren because she had a long day. By the time she finished fussing over her, Mom said, "Just go to bed, Camila. It's late." I stayed up anyway, studying alone under a desk lamp until my eyes burned. Another time, this one burned itself into me, I signed up for the school spelling bee. I practiced for weeks. The night of the event, I asked Mom several times if she was coming. Her answer: "If Lauren doesn't have any last-minute needs, I will." Lauren did. She needed a ride to a job interview the same hour as the spelling bee. Dad took me instead, but he had to sit in the back because he was on a work call. When I got knocked out in the 3rd round, I looked around the auditorium and saw parents cheering, clapping, hugging their kids. I walked out alone, Dad still talking on his headset. That night, Lauren came home bragging about how well her interview had gone. Mom hugged her proudly. Dad joined in. No one asked how the spelling bee went. I didn't bring it up. The teen years, learning to shrink. When I became a teenager, I tried for a while to earn the same attention Lauren got. I joined clubs, sports, anything that might make Mom notice me. But no matter what I did, Lauren's life overshadowed it effortlessly. If I made the honor roll, Lauren got a raise at work. If I won a small award, Lauren got promoted. If I had a milestone moment, Lauren had a crisis. Mom always said, "Your sister needs us right now." As if Lauren existed in a permanent state of emergency. One memory sticks like a thorn. I auditioned for the school musical. Even though I wasn't the best singer, I practiced for weeks. When I got a minor role, I was thrilled. I asked Mom if she could drive me to rehearsals. She sighed and said, "Camila, why don't you pick something less time-consuming?" Lauren's car broke down again. We need to focus on her transportation. And that was that. I quit the show before the first rehearsal. When I told my dad, he nodded and said, "It's for the best, shows are stressful." But something in his voice sounded like he was trying to convince himself, not me. The college fund talk. The college fund became my beacon. The one promise that felt solid. The one thing that wasn't filtered through Lauren's wants. Mom would say it in this calm, confident tone. "We've been saving for you since you were little. Your future matters to us. No matter how tight things get, that money stays untouched." I held on to those sentences like lifelines. The way other kids clung to baby blankets, I clung to the idea that my parents had carved out one protected space just for me. Some nights, I'd sit on the windowsill imagining myself on a campus, choosing classes, meeting new people, building a life with my own decisions, not ones made for me, not ones overshadowed by someone else's. I imagined walking into a dorm room with posters and string lights and a roommate who didn't know me as Lauren's sister. I imagined being seen. It sounds dramatic, but when you grow up as the background character in your own house, the idea of choosing your own path feels like freedom. Early signs I ignored. But even then, there were warning signs. Once, when I was 15, I overheard Mom on the phone telling someone, "We're juggling a lot right now. Lauren's treatments, possible costs, we'll figure it out." Treatments? Costs? I didn't think too hard about it then. I assumed it was about Lauren's anxiety or a checkup. I didn't know it was fertility-related, or expensive, or that Mom had said the word "we" instead of Lauren. Another time, Dad looked stressed at the dining table, staring at a stack of bills. When I asked if everything was okay, he said, "Yeah, just grown-up stuff," and tucked the papers away quickly. I didn't know then that some of those papers had numbers circled, numbers that matched the account they claimed was for me. But the biggest sign, the one I remember vividly, happened 2 years before the dinner table confession. Mom pulled me aside after Lauren left the house one afternoon. She looked tired, worn in a way I didn't understand yet. "Camila," she said, "you know how much Lauren wants to be a mother." I nodded. "Sometimes," Mom continued, "family has to make sacrifices for each other. You'll understand someday." I didn't know what she meant. I didn't know a warning when I heard one. The truth is, by the time I graduated high school, I had adapted so deeply to disappearing that it felt natural. If there was pain, I swallowed it. If there was disappointment, I reasoned with it. If something was unfair, I told myself other people had it worse. I became the easy one because someone had to be. And in our family, easy meant invisible. So of course I didn't question the college fund. It was the one promise that had never bent, never shifted, never been redirected. I entered adulthood believing that love meant giving until you were empty and grateful for whatever crumbs came back. Or so I thought. I didn't know then that my parents had been slowly, quietly rewriting that promise behind my back. That while I was planning essays and majors, someone else was planning a future using my name, my money, my trust. I didn't know that the one thing I believed was mine had already been spent on someone else's life. And all of it, started long before the night my mother calmly told me across the dinner table that my future was gone.